What's up, guys? Godly Perfection from ReachingPerfection.com, also creator of Aggro. I'm here to teach you how to play exactly, because, it could be a little confusing at first. But let's log in. Can't connect to the server, I don't have it up right now. And let's start up a local game. First things first, at the beginning of each turn, or at the beginning of the game, each player constructs their party. And your party consists of various characters that fill particular roles: warriors, priests, rogues, archers, wizards right now. Later you'll have options of barbarians, rangers, crazy warlocks and mages and archmages, and basically whatever you could play in an RPG that you could possibly think of. So, we're going to construct our party here. Each player takes turn. It's a schoolyard pick. Whoever goes first also chooses their party first, or chooses their first character first. Now, there's a little bit of strategy in here, and once you learn how the cards play, as your opponent chooses what they put in their party, you can adjust accordingly. So that if they put a wizard up front, you could counter that in some way. So, as you place your party, where you place your character is extremely important. Your party setup is kind of like a party formation. The closer you are to the front, the more vulnerable you are to attacks. It's basically you're closer to your opponent. So that at that arrow, the very top point is the closest to your opponents. So the warriors are right next to each other, as you can see. The archer's a little bit farther away from that warrior. The wizard's way far away from that warrior, but he's much farther from this priest and that archer. But it's not actual distance between the cards. It's the number of rows between the cards. So you've got 3 rows in each party. So let's add another character here. Okay. You get 2 actions and a cleanup phase every turn. First player that goes, he actually only gets 1 action. So the main thing is there's this thing that we call threat in aggro. Threat is everything. The higher your threat, the closer to the front your character is. So the more vulnerable he is, again, the closer to your opponent's party. So if we look at this card right here, we've got the warrior. We've got 3 abilities: taunt, melee strike, defend, and we have 16 health here in the bottom right. Now, if you look at each ability to your to the left, there's a number. That is how much threat will be added or subtracted from your character. So the warrior here has a taunt that adds plus 70, a melee strike that adds plus 40, and a defend which adds plus 40. So you'll have your warrior use, say, taunt, and he'll have 70 threat, and at the end of that action, everything will reprioritize, and the highest characters of each party will be moved closer to the front. 1 person in front, 2 people right behind him, and 2 people in the back. So, again, closer they are, the easier they are to hit. But also, the better range you have. So say you have your archer in the front, he's much more able to hit these archers in the back. So it's second player's turn. As you can see on the right over here, next to this wizard, you're on your first action. So again, we'll use taunt to keep this guy up front. Actually, no. We'll use the archer. We'll have the archer use a ranged attack, which deals costs 50 threat, deals 3 damage to target character, and 3 range. Alright, how range works. Range is based on the party formation. This is why threat is important. Range says that if you have 3 range, you can hit anything that is 3 rows behind you. So there's only 1 row behind me, so I can hit that would only require a range of 1, or 3 rows ahead of you, which is 1, 2, 3. The priest and the rogue are 3 rows ahead of me. I can't hit the archers, they're out of my range. So, range is everything. So if I had, say, a 2 range ability back here, I'd only be able to hit the warrior. So I'll use ranged attack, and I will hit the priest in the back. Okay. Now, again, prioritizing after every phase, that moves your character, that puts the highest threat in the front. So my archer now has the highest threat. He is now vulnerable to these two archers in the back. In order to stop that, I can taunt with my warrior to pull him in front. If I use melee strike, which I wouldn't use right now anyways, or defend, we'll say I use defend. If I use defend, I only have 40 threat, so I'll stay in the second row because the archer still has more threat than me. So instead, I will taunt, putting him at 70 threat and moving him up front. So, it reprioritized, 70 threat went to the front, 50 threat went to the second row, then it cleaned up. The cleanup phase is particularly important. Every time you use an ability, it causes your character to tap. Well, it's a magic term. But basically, your character has been used. And when your character's used, as you can see right here, I can't use my warrior because he was used last turn. So it forces people to use a variety of characters every turn. So I can't use my warrior again. But at the cleanup phase, any character who's not participated that turn, who did not do an action, so only 2 characters can do an action. So the warrior, since he doesn't do an action this turn, he'll untap and he'll lose 10 threat. Alright, so we'll say that this rogue, he can use knife throw, deal 3 damage to target character and 2 range. We'll show the range again. So 1, which is my warrior, and then 2 range is his warrior. So I can hit his warrior for 3 right now, and I can right click to cancel. I could use my archer, which has 3 range, so priest, warrior, his warrior. Right now I pretty much can't hit anything in past his warrior right now. So in order to fix that, I would have to move one of my guys up. So I can provoke my archer and move him up. Now my archer could use range attack. Any of his 3 range shots will actually hit the opponent's second row. So see, I can hit the healer and the archer now. Or I could use multi-shot. Each ability has a range, but there's several types of ranges. There's in 3 range, which means you can pick any character that's in 3 range, and there's at 3 range, which means only characters 3 rows away. So multi-shot will hit both the priest and the archer. So if I use multi-shot, I deal a total of 4 damage instead of the 3 damage of ranged attack. Now this is a problem though. My archer is now in the front row, so he's extremely vulnerable. The good news is his warrior and his archer is not untapped, so they can't really hit me. And the wizard only has chain lightning and magic missile, which magic missile only has a 2 range, so I wouldn't be able to hit anybody with that right now. So I'm not vulnerable at all. So you have to learn when it's safe to have your weaker characters in front to dish out more damage, and when it's not safe. So let's see, what else can I do? I could say use my priest. The priest can heal, obviously. He can also pacify, which removes threat. Cool thing about pacify is it can move your characters out of a tough situation. So say I could pacify my warrior, or if my archer was in front, I'd pacify my archer and move him behind my warrior. The rogue has an opposite ability, which is provoke at 50 threat, so he could actually pull characters closer to the front. So I could provoke his archer and pull his archer ahead of his warrior. So, but for now, I'm going to cleanse, which is heal at 0 range or at 1 range. So I'm going to choose 0 range because I was just hit with a multi-shot. So every character 0 rows away, which is the priest himself and the archer. The wizard has chain lightning. Deal 1 damage to each enemy character in 4 range. So every character that is in 4 range, every enemy character in 4 range will take 1 damage. So that will hit the archer, which is 1, 2, 3 away, and the rogue and the warrior in the second row, which are 4 away. Now, my archer is in danger. There's a archer in the back with 3 range that could hit my archer, and there's a warrior in the front with a melee strike for 1 range that could hit my archer. So, I need to save my archer. I can do that in several ways. I can taunt to add 70 threat to my warrior, pulling my warrior up front. Or, I can pacify my archer, which will remove 50 threat, and pull him behind my warrior and rogue. So I'm going to remove 50 threat, and now my rogue's up front, which is cool, because rogue has provoke, which I could provoke his wizards to stay up front. But let's do something. I'll just defend right now. Defend with my warrior, which will prevent the next 3 damage that would be dealt next turn, during my opponent's turn. So if he uses a ranged attack, he doesn't take any damage, but pulls that guy up front. So his archer's now in trouble, so he taunts to pull his guy up. So this game is like a game of chess. You're moving your characters in and out of sticky situations, and your goal is to outmaneuver your opponent and get him to mess up enough to where you can hit his weaker guys, or knock out his heavier guys before any of your guys are taken out. Check this out. I could provoke with the rogue, and I could pull his wizard or his archer. Well, I couldn't pull his wizard to the front. If I add 50 threat to the 40 threat wizard, he will only have 90 threat, which will keep him behind the warrior still. So I'm going to provoke the archer instead. The archer gets pulled to the front. Now I can hit the archer with pretty much anything. Well, I could have hit the archer before, but whatever. So I'm going to hit the archer. Prioritizing, cleaning, I believe that's all. It's a fairly simple game. The only things you really need to remember is threat, range, and at cleanup, everything untaps, and anything that wasn't used loses 10 threat. So I didn't point that out before. I did say it, but I didn't point it out before. So let's say I'll use a quick inspire. No. I use chain lightning. I use double chain lightning. Keep an eye on the archer and the warrior and the priest. Archer, warrior, priest. They will each lose 10 threat, and if any of them are tapped, they will untap during the cleanup phase. So, chain lightning, prioritizing, cleanup, they'll both untap and lose 10 threat, and the priest will lose 10 threat as well. So this shows that because the character did not do anything that turn, he is not as threatening. The more threatening you are, the closer to the front you are. You are a higher priority for your opponent. Anyways, that's all I'm going to cover for now. Once something dies, let me show you when something dies. When something dies, they get removed from the party, and it forces your opponent to keep basically, the less people he has, the easier it is to hit his guys. So if he loses his 2 back guys, the furthest that archer could be is in the back row, or in the second row. So the less guys the opponent has, the easier they are to hit, which is kind of nice. So I could range attack. I could probably find a way to save my archer right now, but I'm not going to. Just to demonstrate. It's fairly simple. Prioritizing. Next action. Ranged attack. Okay. This will kill. Actually, I'm not going to range attack. I'm going to multi-shot. It'll deal more damage. I'm going to multi-shot. I'll hit the archer and the wizard. And now the archer's gone. Now everybody shifts up. So every turn, prioritizes. Highest threat goes to the front. And that's pretty much all. You just gotta learn the abilities, what each one does, and learn how to move your characters around. So, and again, customizable parties. You don't have to run one of each character. You could run 4 archers and a warrior if you like. You could run 3 warriors and 2 priests and play full defensive and melee. Like, whatever you choose. And in the future, more cards will come out, new abilities. infiltrators, rangers, paladins, different things they could do. So, play the game, get used to it, play some online with some friends now that the new multiplayer version is out, and let me know what you think. We're looking for balance tweaks all the time to make sure the cards stay equal power and nothing is extremely powerful. You should have seen how some of the older cards were. Freaking wizard with 6 damage at 3 range, popping double damage, double the damage an archer could do at that range, which is pretty crazy. Alright, anyways, I'm gonna get going. I hope you guys enjoy the game. Have fun.